Today we begin with the story of Ethan, a 26-year-old architectural designer whose life seems to have unraveled in the most dramatic fashion. In the midst of navigating the professional world, Ethan faced two monumental specific losses: a devastating engagement breakup and the sudden loss of his job in a different city. The impacts of these events echoed through his life, leaving him grappling with significant debt, professional stagnation, and a deepening crisis of confidence. This story does not solely focus on his recent turmoil. It takes a look back at Ethan's early years where his struggles began. Growing up with an older brother, Marcus, Ethan endured a childhood marked not just by the typical sibling rivalry, but rather by psychological manipulation and overt physical intimidation that left scars hidden beneath the surface. While many may envision a childhood filled with shared laughter and bonding experiences, for Ethan, it was a painful journey of navigating the oppressive atmosphere created by Marcus. From an early age, Marcus embodied a toxic blend of narcissism and aggression, a personality exacerbated by chronic alcohol abuse and a gambling problem. He thrived on control, an urge that manifested itself in numerous ways, intimidating Ethan, sabotaging his belongings, and isolating him from friends. For Marcus, life was a game where he always needed to come out on top, with no concern for the emotional toll it took on his younger brother. Ethan's mother, Sarah, played a critical role in this dysfunctional dynamic. Despite the visible harm Marcus inflicted, she consistently excused his destructive behavior. Marcus's actions were dismissed as the products of an artistic temperament and emotional sensitivity, while Ethan's cries for help were met with phrases that minimized his pain. "You are overreacting" became a mantra in their household, trivializing Ethan's suffering and inadvertently enabling the cycle of abuse. In stark contrast, their father, Robert, recognized the dysfunction within the family unit early on. He advocated for counseling during their childhood in hopes of addressing Marcus's actions, yet Sarah's unwavering support of her eldest son created an environment where meaningful change remained elusive. Despite Robert's best intentions, his attempts at creating stability and understanding in the family were met with resistance due to Sarah's steadfast loyalty to Marcus. The story leads to a pivotal turning point during a time when Ethan's life is at its lowest. Returning to his hometown marked a physical and psychological homecoming, but the memories of childhood torment quickly resurfaced. With both personal and professional crises leading him to despair, Ethan faced an unwelcomed onslaught of painful recollections linked to his brother's abuse. It was a time in which he needed support, yet he found himself back where it all began, grappling with his brother's lingering dominance. Robert, upon learning of Ethan's degradation from a mutual acquaintance, stepped in with surprising urgency. In a selfless act, he offered Ethan access to a small, vacant guest house on their family property. This gesture provided Ethan with a much-needed grounding, an opportunity for autonomy away from the pressures of life and the dark cloud that had been his brother's presence. However, peace was fleeting. Marcus perceived Ethan's return as a direct challenge to his established hierarchy in their family. What followed was a campaign of passive-aggressive hostility. Marcus's harassment escalated, manifesting in snide notes left on Ethan's belongings, unwelcome visits to the guest house, and even damaging Ethan's car, each action serving as a reminder of the power dynamics that had defined their tumultuous childhood. It was only a matter of time before these tensions came to a head. The dynamics of their family changed when Robert witnessed an incident firsthand that would sway the course of Ethan's recovery. One evening, Marcus crashed a quiet dinner that Ethan and Robert shared, unleashing a torrent of verbal abuses that dug deep into Ethan's vulnerabilities. It was in this moment that Robert's protective instincts finally overpowered years of passive acceptance. "I should have done more, son," Robert said later that night, the weight of past failures evident in his voice. "I am so profoundly sorry." This heartfelt acknowledgement marked the first step in their journey toward healing and redemption, igniting a flame of hope for Ethan amidst the ruins of his previous life. Through the ongoing struggles, the story of Ethan's journey will unfold, focusing on confronting the ghosts of the past and redefining what it means to be a son, a brother, and ultimately himself. With every setback comes a new opportunity for growth, and in the face of overwhelming adversity, the narrative raises critical questions about family, loyalty, and the challenging path towards self-rediscovery. Today, we delve deeper into the complexities of Ethan's life, revealing the troubled dynamics that marked his early years and inform his present struggles. In part one of this story, we explored Ethan's background and the initial upheavals he faced. Now, we turn our attention to an even darker period of his childhood, an experience of silent suffering at the unsteady hands of his older brother, Marcus. The full extent of the trauma Ethan endured began to crystallize in recent weeks as he navigated his own personal crises, inadvertently triggering memories he thought he had buried long ago. Growing up, Ethan was not only straddled with the ordinary challenges of adolescence, but was also ensnared in a toxic familial web. His brother Marcus was not merely an elder sibling. He was an architect of Ethan's emotional torment, disguising psychological manipulation as playful sibling rivalry. The intolerable weight of Marcus's dysfunction was heavy. The scars left behind ran deep, manifesting in forms of anxiety and self-doubt that followed Ethan into adulthood. This cycle of torment would hinder Ethan's self-worth and confidence, sowing the seeds of doubt that grew within him like weeds. But what was it about Marcus that made him this way? Chronic alcohol abuse clouded Marcus's judgment and magnified his narcissism. With each drink, his need for control grew stronger, leading to increasingly aggressive outbursts. He would often sabotage Ethan's belongings, take potshots at his self-esteem, and whisper malicious rumors to their peers, all while presenting a false facade of charm to adults. To the outside world, Marcus was the golden child, the artistic genius, his behaviors rationalized as mere expressions of his sensitive nature. In this distorted reality, Ethan was left feeling isolated, standing alone in the shadows of a sibling who dominated the family narrative. Ethan's mother, Sarah, played an enabling role in this dysfunctional dance. She often dismissed Marcus's destructive behavior as simply part of his artistic temperament, a notion that felt as comfortable to her as a guiding light in the chaotic tumult. Sarah's unwillingness to confront the ugly truths fostered an environment where Ethan's fears and cries for help went unheard. "You are overreacting," was a phrase he often heard, a validation for Marcus's abuse and a dismissal of Ethan's reality. These trivializations reinforced a family culture steeped in denial of accountability, allowing Marcus's actions to fester unchecked. In stark contrast, Ethan's father, Robert, attempted valiantly to intervene. A pragmatic businessman, he understood that the family's dynamic was a harmful truth that needed addressing. Robert often urged for family counseling, believing it would shine a light on the psychological shadows looming over them. Unfortunately, the family sessions fell victim to Sarah's unwavering loyalty to Marcus. Her devotion blinded her to her son's increasingly harmful actions, causing Robert's attempts to create a more balanced family dynamic to unravel like a poorly woven thread. As we move from this vibrant yet painful past to Ethan's present, we recognize how, with each new crisis, the cracks in his world widen further. With the collapse of his engagement and job, he confronts a maelstrom of emotions: depression, loneliness, and the haunting memories of his brother's torment merged together into a cacophony of distress that weighs heavily on his heart. Returning to his hometown, meant to be a sanctuary, becomes a trap as echoes of childhood trauma resonate within him. In the midst of his emotional upheaval, Ethan finds an unexpected ally in Robert. Realizing the extent of Ethan's struggles, Robert steps in with urgency. Like a lighthouse cutting through a foggy night, he offers an opportunity, a small guest house on their family property that serves as a refuge from the chaos, a sanctuary, if you will, providing Ethan with stability, autonomy, and a sense of safety. Yet even this well-meaning gesture becomes overshadowed by the menacing presence of Marcus. Marcus perceives Ethan's return not as a chance for familial connection, but as an assault on his own established dominance within the family. His psyche is threatened. He responds in kind by unleashing a series of passive-aggressive attacks, a cruel campaign that reflects the same torment he exercised in their youth. This creates a tense and emotionally charged landscape for Ethan, where past and present collide. Through snide notes and targeted insults, he attempts to destabilize Ethan further, all while maintaining the facade of charm when around familial enablers, including Sarah, who remained blind to the damage caused. The emotional turmoil escalates, and before long, Robert becomes a witness to the raw and cruel nature that Marcus always embodied. One night, after Marcus invades the sanctity of a quiet dinner meant to provide solace for Ethan, the reality of their dysfunctional family dynamic hits Robert like a gust of wind. At that moment, a decision must be made. A stand must be taken against the tides of abuse that Marcus has so boldly brought back into their lives. Thus, the battle lines begin to draw. But first, the ground must be set. The weight of the past hangs in the air like an unspoken pact, and understanding must emerge from the shadows to protect all that remains. As we move further, we will witness how the actions taken by Robert will alter not only Ethan's fate, but also the delicate fabric of their family dynamic. Together, they will navigate the choppy waters of familial bonds, guilt, and forgiveness, ultimately striving towards recovery and self-preservation. Each moment will peel back layers of pain, while providing insight into the core themes of redemption and breaking cycles. Ethan's journey reflects how navigating the tumultuous terrain of family dynamics can lead to the dissolution of toxic bonds and the emergence of a renewed sense of self. As they confront harsh realities, will they be able to reclaim their identities from the chaos that Marcus has wrought? Will the bonds of support prove strong enough to withstand the storm? Only time will reveal the complexities of their journey forward, one step at a time. In this third part of Ethan's journey, we delve deeper into the family dynamics that have shaped him, navigating the turbulent waters of conflict, realization, and confrontation. As we analyze the impact of Ethan's past, we find that his return to his childhood home not only brings old wounds to the surface, but also ignites a new struggle between the roles of victim and protector within his family. The weight of unresolved trauma envelops Ethan as he settles into the small guest house his father provided. It served as a sanctuary of sorts, a rare haven amidst the chaos of his life. Yet with each creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind, memories of Marcus's torment flood back, wrapping around him like an unwelcome shadow. The isolation he hoped to escape only intensifies, amplifying feelings of vulnerability and despair. The realities of his adult life, marked by recent failures, exacerbate an already fragile state of mind. Each night spent in that guest house, he wrestled with despair, reminding himself that he was now supposed to reclaim his life, but with the oppressive presence of his brother lurking just beyond the door, that seemed like a distant dream. Meanwhile, Marcus, feeling his grip on family dynamics slipping, embarks on a campaign of passive-aggressive harassment. The brother who once terrorized him now returns, not with grand displays of violence, but through a series of calculated psychological attacks. He deploys cruel messages left on Ethan's car, snide remarks hurled during casual encounters, and the sneering judgments that echo from their childhood. It is as if Marcus perceives Ethan's mere existence as a direct threat to his own identity and status within the family, prompting him to act with unrestrained contempt. In the thick of this tension, Robert remains steadfast, determined to shield Ethan from the onslaught of Marcus's cruelty. As he observes the hostile interactions unfolding between his sons, he recognizes that the time for action has come. One autumn evening, while sharing dinner with Ethan, the air thick with unspoken fears, Marcus makes an uninvited appearance, dripping with bravado and entitlement. The facade of charm he had always maintained no longer masks the bitterness boiling beneath the surface. With a smug smile plastered across his face, Marcus immediately turns his verbal assault on Ethan, dredging up old wounds and adding weight to his recent failures. Faced with the onslaught, Robert's protective instincts surge. He can no longer stand idle, watching as his sons engage in a toxic dance that has played out for far too long. With calm yet profound authority, he intervenes, confronting Marcus for the first time with the raw honesty of both his son's suffering and his own perceived shortcomings as a father. The scene unfolds like a long-awaited reckoning. He tells Marcus the truth, expressing his disappointment and anger, and it is clear that a line has been drawn. Robert's voice trembles, overwhelmed by a mixture of fervor and pain. "Get out," he demands. "Do not ever set foot in this house again until you have become a different man." In that moment, Robert lays down an ultimatum, risking it all to protect Ethan and confront the toxic legacy Marcus had embodied for years. After Marcus storms out, an electrifying silence consumes the room, charged with vulnerability and raw emotion. This has not only been a defining moment for Robert, but for Ethan as well. The sensation of relief washes over him, mingling with trepidation, A confrontation long overdue now leaves a gaping chasm of uncertainty. After years of enabling and silence, his father's act of defiance signals a shift, one that could ripple across the family dynamic. That evening, Robert finds Ethan packing his belongings, contemplating a hasty retreat from the emotional tumult. Sensing his son's inner turmoil, he takes a seat beside him, his voice softening into something almost unrecognizable. "Ethan," he begins, his eyes misty, "I failed you." The admission hangs heavy in the air, a solemn acknowledgement of years lost to neglect. "I should have done more to protect you. I am so profoundly sorry." In that moment, something flickers between them. A bond modified by years of pain now laced with the potential for healing. Robert, once a pragmatic figure at a distance, allows his vulnerability to unfold, providing Ethan a lifeline to rebuild their fractured connection. As father and son sit side by side, surrounded by remnants of the past, they embark upon a new journey together, one where vulnerability becomes a bridge for understanding, and the process of healing can begin, steering them toward a future unbound by Marcus's malice. Their shared vulnerability offers a beacon of hope, illuminating the darkness that had enveloped Ethan's life for so long. Together, Robert and Ethan stand at a crossroads, faced with the arduous task of unraveling the weight of their family history. Their journey forward will require dismantling the toxic roots that have grown within their lives. As they set out to forge new connections, the true question remains, can they successfully navigate this fragile terrain of rediscovered family dynamics, confronting their past, and ultimately redefine what it means to be a family? As the dust settles after that fateful confrontation, a new chapter begins for Ethan, one marked by the flicker of resilience and hope, and the gradual unraveling of old ties that had bound him in fear and doubt for far too long. This chapter invites Ethan to reevaluate not only his place in the family, but also to cast a new vision for his future. Will he summon the courage to embrace the radical change required to redefine himself, or will the remnants of his past continue to haunt him? As we turn the page toward a critical family brunch that promises to test their newfound resolve, we prepare for a confrontation that will ultimately reshape the very fabric of their encounters with one another. The answers lie ahead, waiting to be uncovered amidst the tumult of family dynamics. In this pivotal part of Ethan's journey, the family dynamics reach a boiling point during a seemingly ordinary Sunday brunch, yet within the routine lies a storm of pent-up emotions, unresolved conflicts, and a fight for freedom that is about to unfurl spectacularly. The scene is set with the mundane familiarity of eggs, toast, and coffee, the comings and goings of a family accustomed to avoiding the real conversations that simmer just below the surface. Ethan sits at the long wooden table, soothing a knot in his stomach with each sip of lukewarm coffee. His gaze sweeps across the table, resting momentarily on the half-eaten pastries, a once beloved family tradition that now feels fraught with tension. He could feel the pulse of anxiety radiating from Marcus, seated at the opposite end, who was clearly struggling to maintain his facade of normalcy. While the conversation flows around the table, Marcus's eyes seem to dart furtively at Ethan, a mix of contempt and wounded pride lurking just beneath his charming surface. The brunch begins innocently enough. Their mother Sarah tries to anchor the conversation with benign inquiries about Ethan's latest architectural designs. Robert steers the discussion toward a recent local development project that has drawn community interest. However, Marcus remains uncharacteristically silent, his agitation bubbling just below the surface, as if waiting for an opening to pounce. The tension is palpable, and Ethan can sense it building. As the meal progresses, Robert turns the conversation to future family plans, suggesting a weekend camping trip that everyone used to enjoy. The suggestion is met with polite nods, but Marcus's expression shifts slightly. He grumbles under his breath about wasting time camping and shifts in his seat, clearly unwilling to engage. Ethan's spine straightens. This is the kind of passive-aggressive behavior he has come to expect from Marcus, and he braces himself for the inevitable explosion. Then the moment arrives, a snide comment directed at Ethan, the kind that feels personal enough to sting. "What will you bring to this camping trip? Perhaps a sketch of your failures?" Marcus sneers, his words laced with sarcasm and a thin veneer of humor that does not fool anyone. The laughter that follows is awkward, the family members exchanging glances of discomfort, most notably Sarah, who winces but does little to address the escalating attack. Instead of firing back with insults, Ethan feels something shift within him. He recalls the comforting words his father murmured after the confrontation at the guest house. He will no longer be a victim of his brother's cruelty. Actually, Marcus, I think I have a lot to offer, he replies, his voice steady but firm, surprising even himself. Perhaps you should take a look at your own life before throwing stones. The table goes silent, time seemingly suspended in this moment of unexpected defiance. Marcus blinks in disbelief, his bravado shaken, yet it only takes a moment before his pride surges back, ready for another round. Look at you, Ethan. Go ahead and pretend you have it all together. We all see through it. You are just a failure, hiding from life in that guest house. Marcus's words land like a punch, the venom wrapped in a veneer of truth that cuts deep. Ethan feels his heart race, the murmurs of doubt creeping back in, but he clings to his newfound resolve, expressing not just the fearlessness born of pain, but also the honesty of his struggles. At least I am trying to move forward, unlike you, who still relies on alcohol and manipulation. The tension snaps like a rubber band, drawing the attention of Robert. He stands abruptly, the scraping of the chair against the floor resonating like thunder throughout the room. That is enough. Robert's voice booms, shaking Ethan from his emotional turmoil. He looks at Marcus with a cold, unfaltering gaze that Ethan only wished he had mastered. You have crossed a line. Not only is your behavior unacceptable, it is toxic, and I have tolerated it for far too long. The atmosphere shifts dramatically, the resonance of Robert's voice filling every corner of the dining room. Silence reigns as the reality of their situation amplifies itself. This is not just another brunch. This is a reckoning. Robert continues. Get out, now. You are no longer welcome here until you are willing to change and take responsibility for your actions. You are cut off completely. Ethan feels a rush of emotions as he watches his father stand firm, so resolute in his decision, brandishing an authority he has not seen before. For years, Robert's pragmatic approach to family struggles felt like a thin veil over a reality that demanded confrontation. Yet here he was, drawing a line in the sand, an ultimatum that was long overdue. With a contemptuous scoff, Marcus bolts from the table, his anger palpable. He retorts with buzzing sarcasm. You will live to regret this, father. I will not need such a family, before storming out, the door slamming behind him, as if punctuating the finality of Robert's words. In his absence, the tension in the room dissipates, an unexpected calm taking its place. Sarah's shock is evident, her loyalty now questioned, reflecting the internal conflict that has always torn her between her sons. Without words, the reality of what just transpired sits before them. The silenced echoes of years of enabling Marcus's behavior resonate through their shared space. Later that evening, Ethan finds himself packing a bag, the tumult of emotions still swirling within him. He feels lighter in a strange, unfamiliar way, relieved to see Marcus's mask slip, yet reeling from the effects of the confrontation. Suddenly, Robert enters the room, his demeanor softer now, a vulnerability emerging. Ethan, he begins, voice low and sincere, I failed you. For years, I have let my desire for peace overshadow my responsibility to protect you. I neglected the pain you endured, and I am profoundly sorry for that. In that moment, something in Ethan's heart begins to shift. The years of trauma, hurt, and resentment did not evaporate, but a newfound trust surfaces, just as fragile yet potent. For the first time, he feels like he is being seen, not as a shadow of his brother, but as the individual he yearns to reclaim. Amidst the swirling chaos of emotions, the conversation weaves a hope for something greater, repair, understanding, and healing. As father and son share their pain, the walls of isolation begin to crumble, replaced by an ever-emerald glow of possibility that hints at the healing process that had only just begun. Yet as they stand there, the nuances of this newfound dynamic shift feel daunting. Can they truly reconstruct what had been so brittle all these years? Each step forward will require courage, honesty, and a commitment to embracing vulnerability, a challenge yet gladly undertaken in pursuit of family. As this chapter closes, Ethan is left standing at the threshold of change, ready to transform heartbreak into healing and pain into empowerment. With each passing moment, the spark ignites, burgeoning with the promise for a new beginning. but only if they are willing to confront the shadows together and reignite the bonds that love has fettered. In the weeks that follow Marcus's departure, a striking transformation begins to unfold within Ethan. No longer a victim of his brother's relentless bullying, he starts to reclaim his life, inch by inch. The guest house proves to be more than just a temporary refuge. It becomes a crucible for healing and growth. With the support of his father, Ethan embarks on a journey of self-discovery that challenges him to confront the wounds of his past and to build a future that is more in alignment with who he truly is. Ethan invests hours in therapy. Each session offers him an opportunity to explore the layers of his childhood trauma, excavating memories that had been buried under years of fear and self-doubt. It is challenging work, a grappling match with his own psyche. But the breakthroughs are profound. He learns new coping strategies and begins processing emotions that he has long deemed too painful to face. More importantly, he learns to identify his strengths and embrace his vulnerabilities. After weeks of wrestling through demons, a faint spark of creativity ignites within him. The architectural designs that once filled his notebooks transform from mere sketches to vibrant concepts, brimming with life and hope. It starts with a project that tugs at his heartstrings, the redesign of a local community center in need of revival. He imagines a space that fosters healing and connection, an environment where the community can gather, support one another, and thrive. This new direction not only rekindles his passion for design, but also serves as a form of therapy in itself. The more Ethan invests in this community project, the more he connects with old friends and rekindles lost relationships. He begins meeting with peers from his architectural school days, sharing ideas, brainstorming designs, and occasionally enjoying a drink or a meal together. Rebuilding these connections feels like stitching new fabric into the frayed tapestry of his life. With every coffee and conversation, he rebuilds the sense of belonging that Marcus had tried to strip away. Each connection serves as a buffer against the shadows of his past, reinforcing the knowledge that he is not alone in this world. Meanwhile, Ethan's relationship with his father, Robert, deepens in ways he never anticipated. After the explosive brunch, Robert becomes a steadfast advocate for both Ethan and his mother. They spend evenings discussing the project, sharing books on design and architecture, and going on long hikes where they can simply converse, free from the weight of their shared history. With each intimate discussion, Robert reveals more about his own vulnerabilities, painting a fuller picture of the man Ethan knew only as the pragmatic provider. Together, they navigate the complexities of family, leaning on each other for support, and finding surprising solace in their mutual understanding of pain and healing. As Ethan dedicates himself to the community center, he draws inspiration from the relationships he is revitalizing. Each design choice reflects not just architectural principles, but the very essence of connection. He dreams of open spaces filled with natural light, a cozy cafe that encourages gatherings, and rooms designated for art, music, and community dialogues. It is a project infused with love, resilience, and the kind of healing he wishes for himself and others. The more he designs, the stronger his sense of self becomes, and the less he feels burdened by Marcus's past influence. However, as calm settles over Ethan's life, Marcus resurfaces, his calls becoming increasingly desperate, each voicemail a blend of anger, guilt, and false promises. He pleads for financial help to cover his mounting gambling debts and inevitable legal issues. At first, there is a flicker of concern that nudges at Ethan's conscience, but he recalls his father's ultimatum. He cannot allow Marcus back into his life through financial enablement. With newfound strength, Ethan firmly articulates his decision. He will no longer assist Marcus in any capacity. Realizing he is powerless to change his brother, Ethan blocks Marcus's number, severing the unhealthy link that once held him captive. It is a decision filled with uncertainty, yet brimming with a freedom he had long yearned for. A sense of liberation washes over him as he embraces the notion that choosing his well-being is not selfish, it is essential. He has taken a stand against the toxic cycle that plagued their family dynamics. In the wake of these choices, Sarah begins to witness the impact of Robert's ultimatum. As Marcus's turmoil spirals, her perspective gradually shifts from denial to acknowledgement. She confronts Robert with tear-filled eyes, recognizing the years of enabling that led to Marcus's downfall. A profound understanding ignites between them, and she finds herself inspired by Robert and Ethan's determination to redefine what family loyalty looks like, a commitment to support one another in growth and well-being, rather than enabling destructive behavior. They learn to communicate freely, striving for a balance built on validation and shared growth. As Ethan's designs come to life, he unveils the community center to a vibrant mix of local residents, construction teams, and friends, a celebration rooted in connection and hope. The unveiling inspires a ripple effect within the community. People draw together, creating spaces that echo shared stories, reviving laughter and warmth. Ethan stands amidst the crowd, basking in the glow of approval and gratitude. This is not just the realization of a vision, it is a testament to resilience. Months later, as the community center comes alive and hope blooms, Ethan stands at a crossroads. He is no longer merely the boy haunted by his brother's actions. He has become the man who understands the power of boundaries, acceptance, and reclamation. With each design, he sketches a new narrative for himself, one where he is the architect of his life, not a victim of his brother's legacy, but a creator of something brighter. As this chapter closes, Ethan stands tall against the backdrop of his rebuilt life, a life defined by healing, empowerment, and courage. He has emerged from the turmoil, mapping a future radiant with possibility. An unshakable bond has formed with his father, built on accountability and shared experience. Together they have managed to foster an environment of support and love anchored on respect. And so, as the sun sets over the community center, casting a warm glow over all who have come together, Ethan understands that while his past may have shaped him, it does not define him. Armed with a resilient spirit and renewed purpose, he is ready to embrace the future, a future he is determined to design for himself, free from the shadows of his brother's darkness. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Ethan's remarkable transformation. If you found this story compelling, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more heartfelt narratives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Together, we can continue to explore the themes of healing, resilience, and the power of self-discovery. Until next time.